Welcome to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from De Bruyne Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Good morning, everyone. What a lovely day, kind of a little smoky and hazy. Just praying that they can get those wildfires under control at some point in time. 19.5 million acres already have burned. Wow. And I know it's all in the mountains there. It's got to be hard to keep that under control. But boy, praying for all those people and animals that they can get out safely. And they've lost their homes, and oh my goodness, it just makes you want to cry. Okay, well, phone lines are open here for any of your gardening questions. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. People are still planting in their gardens. We're still sending out seeds. We're still having people pick up seeds in the store. And honestly, you are not too late for planting some beans, cucumbers, pickles. You've got plenty of time. You can still do some summer squash. You can put in some beets and carrots, gourds. You can probably still do sunflowers. You can still do greens. Oh my goodness, they love this kind of weather. So your collards and your Swiss chard and mustard, they love the hot weather. Love, 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 as well as okra. Get that in the ground because it loves hot weather also. Your tomato and pepper plants, if you haven't gotten some in the ground, we still have some at De Bruyne's. We don't have a huge choice anymore, but we still have some. I had to repair. I kind of drowned a couple of my pepper plants, so I had to replace. Thankfully, we had those. So, yes, get those going. And your herb plants. My herbs are just going nuts right now. Except for my oregano, but that's because the cat's eating it. It has completely ignored the catnip that is 6 inches away from it, and he just eats the oregano. I didn't know he was an Italian cat. It is so strange. I've never had any one of my animals ever eat the oregano. So that poor plant is suffering a little bit. We are too late for strawberry plants, too late for asparagus roots, rhubarb, garlic, melons. It's lettuce and spinach. Really, don't bother putting that in right now. It's likes cooler weather, and it's just going to bolt, turn bitter, and then you're just going to complain about it doesn't taste good. So we can wait until fall. We can put in some peas, lettuce, spinach, kale, broccoli, garlic. We got a lot of stuff we can put in for the fall to harvest then. So don't worry about it. You still have time to do a lot of things. In fall harvest and fall planting, you don't get near as many problems in the fall as you do in the summer. Right now, I cannot tell you how many people have brought in bugs for me to identify this week. We've seen an awful lot of squash beetles. We've seen the 4-line plant beetle. We've seen Colorado potato beetle and aphids. Aphids. Yes, they are out there. They got into one of my petunia plants already. I don't know why. I cannot keep petunias at my house. I'll put them in a different location completely than I had the year before. And by this time, there'll be aphids on it. I don't know. There must be like a little invisible sign that says, aphids, please eat here. It's the only thing that ever gets covered by aphids at my house. Now, aphids you can spray. You can take the hose and just spray all of the aphids off. That should kill them. They're very soft shell. They don't have a shell on it, just soft-sided insect. You can spray them and kill them like that. You can spray insecticide on it. There's a lot of different ones you can use. And you can use, maybe you can use some neem oil on it. Make sure you cover the whole plant, though, with the neem oil. There are things to do. You just have to remember you can kill what's there, but there's going to be eggs that will hatch in 2 weeks. And I can guarantee you the problem will be even bigger in 2 weeks. So you can look on the leaves for those little bumps. I've had many people call me and say, on the underside of my fill in the blank plant, there's these little yellow bumps or little white bumps, and those are insect eggs. Scrape them off and get rid of them. Scrape them off into some sudsy water. Then you don't get the insects later on. And I know you can't look under every leaf, but if you've got plants that have been bothered by anything, I would check some of those right now, just to make sure. You just don't need all these little squash beetles and all these other little things coming out and watching you. The grubs are coming out of the soil right now. Someone brought in some grubs, and normally, like the Japanese beetle grub and European Schaefer beetle and Oriental or the Asiatic garden beetle, their grubs are maybe an inch long. They're not huge. She had some grubs that looked like they were on steroids. Those things were huge. I have no idea what they are going to turn out to be. She was just smashing them because she was finding them every time she was trying to dig up things, and they were all over. But I was amazed. I'm like, keep one just to see what in the world it develops into, because I have no idea what would be that big. Ugh, I don't even want to think about it, especially in my garden. I have enough problems already in my garden. But yes, keep an eye out on your plants. If you see any kind of that something's been eating it, do get out there, be proactive, and get your garden sprayed or whatever you need to do. Now, when you're going to spray something, and I don't care if it says it's organic and it says it might be safe, everything kills bees. You can kill a bee with water. So let's just remember the rules to spraying your plants is you spray them early in the morning before the bees are out. They usually don't get out until 9 or 10 o'clock. I wish I were a bee. But spray them early. 6 a.m. would be a perfect time on a non-windy day. You don't want this carrying all over the place. Just spray the plant. Green only. Only spray the leaves. Do not spray flowers. That's where the bees land. They're not going to land on the foliage down below. They're going to land on the flowers. So make sure you don't spray the flowers. We're just spraying the foliage. Keep that in mind on a nice cool morning that doesn't have any breeze. We're going out there and spray. So just be nice to the bees, and do that, and you should be fine. I've had to my beans are okay, and I drowned out a few of my pepper plants. And I've never done shallots before, so I thought I would try them this year. I'm doing my onion sets like I always do, and they come up looking like a green onion. And there's a ton of those coming up. Shallots come up, and there must be, looks like this octopus is coming out of the ground. I have no idea what this is going to be. It's interesting to watch those. I like planting something different every year to watch it grow. I never know if I'm going to harvest anything, but it's always fun to watch it grow. One year I took a hand, I think they call it, of ginger. Was that? Yeah, ginger from the store. And I put that between two pieces of paper towel that was damp and put it in a paper or plastic bag. Didn't have it completely closed for like a week. And then I took it out, and you could see where the little bumps at the end were actually sending out green shoots. And then I just took the whole thing and placed it, boom, right on the top of a pot, a large pot. And I thought, I'm going to get ginger. And I didn't cover it with soil. I just put it on top. And my goodness, I harvested ginger. All the strange things. They must have come out of everywhere. And I got the stuff in the grocery store, which I know you're not supposed to do, but because I usually spray it with some sort of sprout inhibitor. This one obviously was not sprayed. If you see ginger in the store and you see it like a little green thing, you might want to try just putting that that hand right on the top of some soil, and just keep it watered. Doesn't want to be wet, but it doesn't want to be, completely bone dry either. So I was surprised how quickly all of those little things it sent out little bumps everywhere, and then send out little green things going up and roots going down. I was pretty impressed what I did with the ginger. Something different to do. Sometimes you just got to try those different things. But yeah, you still have some time to plant some things. We're not going to get a killing frost in August, so we don't have to worry about that. In fact, people, put in like green or yellow beans through the end of July to pick them. So you're right in time. So if you planted them early and they didn't come up, you can put them in now again. The people that did plant them early and they were coming up, and they knew they planted bush beans, which form a bush maybe up to 2.5 feet tall, and you can pick them right on the bush. The hot, dry weather they had, and I don't care how well you watered them, they were under stress. And what happens when one older variety of green bean is under stress? It reverts to a pole bean, because that's what it originally was way back when. So we're having a lot of people coming in and going, oh my goodness, my beans are now crawling all over the garden. It's just because your bush beans have reverted, because of the stress, have reverted back to their genetic history of being a pole bean. It's really not going to be that bear that much fruit, so just rip them out and replant bush beans now. It should be okay, and I would probably do a better variety, one of the more improved varieties. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but I have learned in the past that it makes a big difference. Tender green was a good bean 20 years ago, but there's a lot of other beans out there right now that taste better and don't revert into a pole bean. Oh my goodness, it's happened to me already too. I didn't know what it was going. So we don't want that. I also had a squash plant. I think it was a zucchini plant that you walked up to the zucchini plant and it was kind of stinky. And I really hadn't done a lot of squash before that, and picked a squash, and I'm cutting it up to cook it for dinner, and it had a weird smell to it. And oh my gosh, when I cooked it and I ate it, it tastes like I was eating like what was in my gym locker at the end of the semester. It was horrible. I called the breeders of squash, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? Just a regular squash. And they said that's why it wasn't an improved variety. They have a gene that causes, they call it stinky squash. And every once in a while, if it's under stress, it will come out. So, and you couldn't do anything about it. You just had to dump the plant. So just a lesson learned. All right, we need to stop and take a break, but we'll be back with the Garden Show right after these messages.
Let's get back to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show. Call the Master Gardener from DeBrine Seeds in Zeeland now at 395-1450. Once again, here's Jan Meeuwsen.
All right, we're talking about stress and plants. My lawn, my front lawn looks beautiful. It's nice and green. But I was walking next to it, going down the driveway the other day, and looking down, and I have red thread, which is a common thing when lawns are under stress. So I have a lawn disease, and it's because my lawn is not growing quickly enough. So usually you don't have to do anything. Usually adding a nitrogen fertilizer will help it green up and get going and get rid of all that red thread. And you're going, what a stupid name for a disease. But if you look at the grass, it will almost look red in places. And if you look down there, it looks like someone put a red thread in your lawn. It is the weirdest thing ever, but it gets kind of a red cast to it, and it's because of that. But it's just a slow growing lawn. You need to add some nitrogen fertilizer, and it should just go away. And the best part, you could probably add some Milorganite. And Milorganite right now is on a summer sale at DeBrine until next weekend. So it is $7.99 a bag, which is a big deal right now. So if you need some Milorganite, just something to put down that you don't have to worry about. It's organic. It's got some nitrogen in it, help green it up. It's also got iron in it. It will help green up your lawn, and it won't burn your lawn, and it won't stress out your lawn like if you put a regular fertilizer down that's got the salt in it, like a triple 12 or something. That would not be good. And any one of if we had a sulfate fertilizer, it'd probably be okay, but the other ones are a little stressful on the lawn right now when it's really hot. So do be careful. If you want to put urea down, wow, that's on the hot days, I certainly would not do it, but maybe on a cooler day, I would not put it down on a heavy setting at all right now. We had that rain. It really wasn't enough rain. So there still is drought conditions out there. So just keep that in mind. When you're thinking about, I gotta go out there and I gotta kill weeds in my lawn, or I gotta do something to my lawn. Be gentle with your lawn right now. Don't go out there, with the big guns thinking you're going to, do all of this overnight. Just remember it's under stress. Our lawns do not like it when it's 80 degrees. They would much rather have the 60-degree fall temperatures. They're cool season grasses. So, anything that gets it too hot, they get diseases. They get all kinds of stuff. So, and especially since we're coming in off a drought, that doesn't help at all. So let's just be a little gentle with our lawn. That Milorganite sale came right at the right time. You can put that down, help green things up, and that might be a good idea. Some people use the Milorganite because it stinks. They put it around some of their gardens and around the vegetable beds, and it will keep out rabbits and deer. It's worth a try. I remember I put just one bag in the back of my car once. I was going to take it to my mom's friend on the way home and then put it down for her. And I put it, and then my car was parked out in the sun. And when I got in that car that afternoon, oh my gosh, all the windows had to go down. If I could have taken that roof off, I would have. It was horrible in there. I can see why the deer would not want to come around something like that. I didn't want to come around something like that. It's not the most pleasant smelling of things. It is comes from the Milwaukee Sewage Company. And it is the bacteria that is used to decompose things. The bacteria dies, and then they kind of separate it out and put it in great big vats, and they make the Milorganite out of that. So it is not the waste that is going in the bags. It is just the bacteria that is used to decompose things. That's what goes in the bag. So it's not made out of humans. So don't tell me. I had someone ask, I want that fertilizer made out of humans. No, we don't have that. We have Milorganite, but that's it. There are times when the plant gets closed because they don't have enough bacteria, or it gets at an unhealthy level. They do watch it quite carefully. So you can put it down. I still would put it down with gloves on if you're going to mess around with it. Mainly the smell on your hands would be horrible, but just be careful with it, just like we are with all of your fertilizers that you're going to put down right now. Weed killers, same way. Just do be very careful. Make sure that you use the right weed killer for the right problem. There's so many weed killers out there right now, and it gets a little bit confusing out there. So, if you want to to know about what you can use on some of these, I'll let you know right after this phone caller. Good morning. You're on the Garden Show.
Good morning. How are you, Jan?
I'm wonderful. How about you?
I'm good. So you're talking about weeds. I have these weeds they look like little clovers, and they just tend to grow everywhere. And as soon as I pick them out or I get rid of them, they come back. Do you know what I can put on them where it's not going to be around my lilies and all my other ground covering things like the different bushes and stuff that we have?
Ooh, and it's right around in that area?
Yeah, and it keeps you coming back. They're a lot like it looks like little clovers for one, and
yeah.
then there's another type that's got like a vine that looks like clovers, but it's got a vine tied to it. So there's a couple of different ground coverings that keep coming back, but I keep picking some of it, but I'm not sure how to get rid of it. I know if you use one pesticide, you got to be careful being around like your lilies and hostas and stuff like that.
Yeah, most of them you have to be very careful about that. The phenoxyprop comes to mind that doesn't work on any broadleaf, but I don't think it's going to work on your clover. So I'm thinking,
I don't know what it is. It's just a ground covering that keeps coming back, and the one with the vine part of it, that just tends to grow anywhere and everywhere. You find it everywhere, and as soon as you get rid of it, it comes back, and that just seems to spread too. I don't know, but
yeah,
one of my kids.
Yeah, I have been using Crabgrass Destroyer, and that's got topramezone in it.
Is that a spray?
It's a spray, and I walk around with this gallon jug, and it's got this hook. It's got a great big long thing that you can just press, and it's got a battery-powered end on it.
Sure.
And
what's the name of that again?
Crabgrass Destroyer. And
okay.
It kills just about everything I put it on. And I usually do it early in the morning when there's not, that won't spray on anything else. And
right, no wind either.
Yeah, so no wind. And I went around because I had, I don't know, this weird plant coming up around my my coral bells. And I just used this stuff, and I just made sure I just put it down right on top of the weed. And it's got this little, you just push this little button, and it comes out. It's the easiest thing to use ever.
Does it come with its own little jug that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so it does come in its own container thing. Okay, great.
Yep, and
that's easier for me. I really am not a person that doesn't even knows anything about plants or anything, but I just know that this is a nuisance. It keeps coming back.
Yes, and I'll tell you, this has worked incredible. It took a couple days, and they all just kind of looked horrible. It kind of pulls the chlorophyll out of the plant, so it will turn a little whiter, and then it just dies. I've had Crabgrass Destroyer, it's called.
Destroyer, and you have that at DeBryan, I'm
You
sure.
bet, yeah, and they've got it on sale right now, and it's $24.98, I believe, for the gallon thing. It is. I love this stuff. I look like I'm a pro. I can just when I like to go before work in the morning, I like to go around and there's a little weed. I'll spray that, and I have fun with that stuff. I go to the neighbor's yard.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, one other question I have, quick a minute, is we have a tree that's kind of, we had it cut back last year, but it came back leaps and bounds with it's an apple, or it blooms in the spring. It's pink flowers on it.
Oh, the crab apple?
Yeah, yes. And we need to cut it back again. It came back really nice, but it's still got the green fungus growing on it, and half of the bark's off of it, but it just seemed to get really full this year again, but I want to cut it back. Do I do that in the fall? Because I'm going to have a tree company come do it.
Yeah, you usually have that done after the leaves are off, so you can really see the structure of the tree, and then they can trim it.
Okay, now when would that be? Because the leaves on it are pretty hardy, and you can see like the choker cherry, or not choker cherries, but just...
Yeah, I know those things, yes. We used to throw them at each other when we were little. Yeah, I would do it. Actually, the best time to do it is in January, February.
Oh, so maybe not even this fall?
Yeah.
Okay, so next year then. Okay, because it's quite... It came back leaps and bounds, which I was hoping that it would come back, but then not to the point where
it did, yeah.
It's getting so tall. If you don't keep it, like, I need to just take this complete top off. And it's actually just, it's one of those where it's in a berm on the corner of the house. It's actually just that whole area is like overgrown. You know what I mean?
Ah, yes. Yes.
It's to be at a certain point where you need to take all the landscaping out and redo it because it's just to that point.
I had that a couple years ago. I did that, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those projects probably in the next, it's in my 3 to 5 program.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much, Jan. You have a really good weekend. Thank you.
You have a wonderful 4th. Yep. Bye-bye. Yes. Those weeds they just get out of control. But I'll tell you, the crabgrass destroyer has really worked well for me, getting just about every weed in my lawn. And now we have to take a break because we have to listen to the news and some messages and very important stuff. So listen carefully. There'll be a quiz at the end when we come back to the garden show.
Let's get back to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show. Call the Master Gardener from DeBrine Seeds in Zeeland now at 395-1450. Once again, here's Jan Meeuwsen.
And we are back. The phone lines are open, 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. And it's not Adam doing the weather anymore, but hey, it did say thunderstorms, right? Possible. I guess they said that a couple days in a row now, so I don't know if I'm really it's just hazy. The smoke, I'm just sick of the smoke, but my joints aren't really hurting that badly, so I don't know if it's really going to rain or not. Who knows? As I said before the break, we were talking about matching what you're going to put down, like in a weed killer, to what the plant is. There's so many different things. I get people calling me all the time. I've been spraying and this isn't working, and what's wrong? It doesn't work. And, I just have, well, what are you using and when are you using it? There's a lot of different questions to ask, but it's usually what are you using and what is the weed you're trying to kill. We have to match those. It's kind of like a matching game. You've got ground ivy, then we're going to use this. If you've got little tiny clovers, well, then we're going to use this, and we might add a spreader sticker. And then, there's all these little things that, okay, well, this is the combination that you have to use for that weed. We understand that. The guys lived for this sort of thing. They live for me to identify a weed, and they'll find the weed killer for you. So, come down to DeBrine's. The guys can help you. They love doing that. Bermuda grass is starting to show its ugly little head now with the hot weather. You might want to think about the phenoxyprop and the BioAdvanced Bermuda grass killer. You do have to do that like every 2 weeks or so all through the summer. If you don't want to do that, it's off-label. Now, you did not hear this here. The crabgrass destroyer with the topramezone, it is something that you can't use on a Bermuda grass lawn because it will kill the Bermuda grass. So if you put 2 and 2 together, you kind of, the topramezone in crabgrass destroyer, that will kill my Bermuda grass. So you might want to try that on your Bermuda grass. It does work by pulling the chlorophyll out of the plant, just like the mesotrione and tenacity. It can look really pretty ridiculous once you spray it, and then the weeds kind of turn white. Some of your grass might turn white, but that will bounce back. The weeds will not. It's an interesting way to kill the plant. But remember, do it if you're going to do a spray, we're going to do it on a day that does not have a lot of wind, because that can carry, and it can carry those little droplets that we're so excited about because it's so fine and it will get all over your plant. Those are also the ones that can be picked up in the air current and go over to your neighbor's garden and hit their tomatoes, because it seems like it always hits the tomatoes. It's like those will seek and destroy the tomatoes. And then the neighbor's going to sit there and go, why are my tomato plants all shriveling up and dying? And it's because the weed killer that the neighbor used on a windy day that carried it over there. So do be careful, especially don't get it on your good shrubs or your landscape plants. You can put a plastic bag over your shrubs. It won't hurt if it gets on the ground around it, and it won't hurt if it gets like on the bark of a tree. If it hits the leaves, then it's going to kill it. So just be careful with that. I'd use a lot of I'll take some garbage bags out and put it over my larger things and make sure I'm not going to hit those things, because it's expensive to replace your shrubs in your landscaping. So do be careful with that. I don't want you to kill too much stuff, just what you need. People are starting to see crabgrass come up in their lawns. The quinclorac and the ortho crabgrass killer and weed stop, that works exceptionally well, and it's very safe for your grass, but it does a great job on the crabgrass. So we'll keep that in mind. So if you do see that, you might want to take a picture of the weed that you've got or bring it in. It's easiest if you bring it in for us to take a look at it. That'd be wonderful. And again, the same with insecticides. If you've got bugs and you've been spraying and you can't get rid of them, get some sample, put some bugs in a old butter tub, or put them in a glass jar or whatever you got, and bring them in. We'll identify them and find out what will work best on those, just like the squash beetles that we're seeing an awful lot of right now. You're not the only one. So we'll help you out with that sort of stuff. We'll identify it for you and get the right product for you. There are so many different products on the shelf right now that it's kind of mind-boggling that you don't know, what do I use on this and what do I use. You can't just use one thing for everything, it seems like, anymore. So we'll help you with that. That's not the end of the world. We can help you with that. Now people are having problems with their tomato plants. Leaf curl, that's probably a water issue. Stick your finger in the soil, see if it's too wet or too dry. Probably too dry, especially if it's a potted plant. So make sure you keep the water going to it. You might want to consider putting a mulch around it so it keeps the water in. That would be a good idea. I've seen an awful lot of stress leaves this year. I don't really need to see any more. But yes, the severe heat that we had will really do a number on that. Also, people are complaining about, they have lots of blossoms on their tomato plants, but very few that are turning into tomatoes. And that can be attributed to the weather. If the temperatures are below 55 or above 75 degrees, the pollen produced on the plant may be sterile. So I don't care how much pollen it's producing and how much is flying in the wind to another little flower, it's not going to pollinate it, because it might be sterile if its temperatures are too hot. So, just wait until the temperatures even out a little bit, and they will come back. Don't worry about it. That's just not something to worry about. For the ideal conditions, if we have sunny days between 10 and 4, and the temperatures are, around 70, 75, and the nighttime temperatures are between 60 and 70. That's like the tomatoes' perfect weather. We have a caller on the line. Good morning. You're on the Garden Show.
Good morning, Jan. I never run out of questions. I'm so glad you're there. I've been watering faithfully all summer. I have some they're at least 40 years old sycamore trees along my roadway here in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Should we be doing the slow drip water around them, even though I am watering? I'm just worried about them. Their leaves often will look like they're not real happy when it gets real dry, and they're kind of looking like that right now.
Yeah, it would not hurt to bring the hose out there and turn it on slow for a while. Yeah, I think they would appreciate that. They're
even that little rain
yeah.
we had. I take my finger in the soil around my flowers, and it's pretty dry down there.
Yeah, it really was not enough water. We need like a day-long shower. That would be wonderful, but we're just not getting that. We get the occasional thunderstorms here and there, and that's not working. And I really don't care. Yeah, I can do hose water all I want, but it's still not the same as rainwater. But at least you can prevent that sycamore, and it's like the first thing that will shrivel up and start shedding more bark and more leaves. Yes. Yeah.
Yep. That's they're beautiful. I've watched them grow. I've been here 36 years. They're pretty small when I started out. They're beautiful trees, and yes, they do cry for water. So I will get my drip out there for them all the way around the trunk.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, we've seen a lot of scorched leaves. We need to stop and take a break, but we will be right back after these messages.
Let's get back to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show. Call the Master Gardener from De Bruyn Seeds in Zeeland now at 395-1450. Once again, here's Jan Meeuwsen.
And we are back, and if your squash plants is advancing as quickly as mine are, just remember that all of the first flowers on the squash plant are male. So don't expect, I'm getting all these flowers, but I'm not getting any zucchini or whatever. All of the first flowers for like a week or 2 weeks are all male. And then all of a sudden some females will come in. But so don't think that your squash plant is any different than anybody else's, because it isn't. They all just are male. I'm not quite sure why that happens, and I think that's basically only in the squash family. I don't know if the cucumbers do it, but everyone complains about the squash, mainly because those flowers are maybe so big. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but they do complain. So don't worry about it. It's normal. It'll come back. We're having a lot of people bring in soil samples for us to send them away to do soil testing on it. It's a good idea. Rather than just adding something thinking this will be it and trying to guess, it's probably best to do a soil sample and do that. We need a good cup of soil. It takes about a week for the results to come back in, and the guys will gladly go over the results with you, and they'll show you what you need to do and when you need to add this or this. They'll be very helpful. It does come with recommendations, but honestly, unless you look at soil tests all the time, it can be a little hard to read them, and we have no problem, going over the recommendations and going over what all the results are. We live for that sort of thing, so we have got all kinds of different numbers of fertilizers. We'll find something that fits what you need to use. So come down, get your soil sample in, and we will go over the results with you. And I have to talk about birds because I just have to. I'm having so much fun watching my birds. The baby birds are out of my nest in the front. I took the nest out so they couldn't come back there and do their second nesting. A friend of mine was, she had robins that built a nest on her deck. She had her table turned up on its side, and they kind of found a little place to make a nest. So she couldn't put the table up right and she thought, oh, this won't take long. And it really doesn't take long. They build a nest quickly. They lay their eggs. The eggs, a week, maybe a week and a half, and all of a sudden the baby birds are in there. And it does not take long for those baby birds, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and they're out. The only thing is mom will come back and do another one. Most of them do that. So now the robin is on her second thing, and the cats are going nuts at her house because they're watching this robin 3 feet away from the door. The robin, male and female, are going in and out feeding the little birds. Yeah, so that maybe we should get one of those for all the cats to watch during the summer. My cat would really enjoy that. So, but yes, so she's having a fun time with that. Just remember that they do come back and do the second brood. Most do a second brood. The only one I think of that does not do, that only does one, is the Baltimore Oriole. They do one batch of eggs, and that's it. And they start flying back down south sometime this month. So they don't stay up here very long, just enough to do another batch of babies, and then they're gone. So don't think that they'll stay around, but it's still fun to go out there. I'm getting lots of warblers singing. I love my little Merlin app on my phone because I can record them and find out what it is that's singing. That's so much fun. Otherwise, I had to sit there and listen to, songs and try to match them up. I don't have to match them up anymore. I can just, turn on my phone, and it's so easy. It's so much fun. So it's fun. There's not just sparrows down by your bird feeder. There's lots of different birds. Keep them safe right now. Make sure you're cleaning your feeder at least once a month. I mean, if you got feeder, once it's down sometime, take the rest of the seed out. Get all of that seed on the bottom out that kind of forms that little mat on the bottom. Get that out of there. Clean it out carefully. You can use some vinegar and water, or bleach and water. Do it 1 part bleach or vinegar and 10 parts water, and clean it out well. Rinse it out well. Let it dry, and then you can refill it with fresh seed and go on. It just takes one bird to go up there that isn't feeling well and spreading some sort of virus, and then they've all got it. So let's be nice to the birds and keep our feeders and our bird baths clean this summer so they don't spread anything. I know the avian flu has hit some parts of the world. We haven't had it over here this year too badly, so we're just very thankful for that, but keep the things clean. Okay, I have to remind you, I will be back. No, I will not be here on Tuesday because it's the 4th of July, so I've got Tuesday off. I will be here next Saturday, though, at 11:05 because it's not a holiday then. So I will not be here on Tuesday, but I will be here on Saturday. But otherwise, I am normally here on Tuesday at 8:45 with Dan with the garden party, and then again with Gary on Talk of the Town between 10 and 11, and then I do my Saturday show at 11:05, and this is that's enough of you to have to listen to me during the week. And I just want to say, Patty Vandenberg, who has been with this radio station for 44 years, just retired. Her last day was Friday. Patty, I am going to miss you so much. You knew everything to do. You were the one that made me feel very welcome here when I first started, and you've always been just the most gracious person in the world. And I don't know how we're gonna live without you here, but really wish you well on the rest of your life, what you're going to plan on doing. I know the antique mall is going to be one of them, but I wish you just the most happiness in the rest, this new section of your life. It's going to be a fun and exciting thing. Monday morning, she doesn't have to come in, so that'll be fun. So all I can say, I'll be back here next Saturday, 11:05, and until then, go green.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from De Bruin Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.